Business Bros Radio Show, we are back. And how to contact Paul anytime, you know that number, 416-444-PROS, 7767, Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com. A show for business owners, whether you own or own one now or you're planning to. We share high-level business intelligence to help owners with marketing and sales and fulfillment so they can make better decisions. Want to remind you and enlighten you that we got 2 more weeks here, Paul, and then we're taking a break for the summer until September. So if you've been putting it off, do so no longer. Call Paul and his team. Now is the time to do so. Again, 416-444-PROS is the way to go. Good to see you again, fella. And today we are talking about making the most of your advertising budget. That is a good thing to do.
Well, do you know what a typical budget is?
I would have no idea. No idea. That's why I'm sitting here and you're sitting there.
There are, varying schools of thought, but on average, small businesses tend to spend 7 to 8% of revenue.
Okay.
So I do a lot more than that because I've always believed in the power of marketing. Mm-hmm. And even though I probably don't need to, I just like to stay in front. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I plan for slow months. I plan for things to be slow, and consequently, there's no such thing.
It's like a harvest. You plant more than you think you're going to sow, right?
Right.
So what is 7, 8 bare minimum? Is that the minimum someone should use?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. And the question is, though, where are you going to spend that? So there are, of course, traditional advertising methods. There are digital marketing methods. I like a combination of both, quite frankly. But the digital marketing is the one that's the most accurate.
There are still those that believe heavily, I won't say what businesses, but some believe heavily still in newspaper advertising.
Well, I think, here's the challenge with newspaper advertising. Unless you're doing it every week or every day or every hour, I think... the challenge is it's very expensive because you're now supporting the paper in an industry where people aren't really reading newspapers. Right. So you're actually spending more probably for a space than you would have before because of the internet. So that space is very challenging. But the real problem is, let's say I buy an ad in, say, the Toronto Star.
Sure.
And I buy a full page ad on a Saturday. It's going to cost me probably $30,000.
Okay.
And I run that ad one time. Do I really know, number one, how many people saw it?
You have no feedback.
Do I know
Their
how many
age?
people actually read the whole thing? How long did they stay on that page? Unlike digital, where you know exactly how long they stayed there, and you know exactly how far they scrolled, and you know exactly what they clicked on, and you know exactly the conversion rates. Print advertising, not so much. But that's not even the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is if you spend $30,000 and you get some business out of that, if you want the same amount of business next month, how much do you have to spend?
Another
$30,000. Yeah. And what about the month after that?
Yeah,
another $30,000. It's not really that way with digital advertising. Here's the part that people miss. Let's say I spend $3,000. I had this conversation actually this morning with a laser eye surgery clinic. And they've been doing digital marketing for a long time. It's working, but it's not working. So they brought in me and take a look at it and see if you can do better. I know I can, but the conversation I had with him, which was quite enlightening, was this. If you spend $3,000 a month, this month, okay, and you get, say, 100 leads, how much money do you have to spend next month to get 100 leads?
I would say another $3,000.
Yeah. Actually, the answer is none. You already have the 300 leads.
Nice.
Or you already have the 100
right.
leads. Does that make sense?
Yep.
If you want another 100 leads, you don't even have to spend $3,000 because you learn so much about getting these 100 that the next 100 are going to be cheaper. You following?
Seems like
the data is there, right? The data will tell you where's my best audience, which audience converts the best, which page converts the best, which ad converts the best. And so traditional marketing is not like that. You can't analyze solid metrics to know how to optimize your advertising.
You think about that and you think, how do we ever do this for 50, 100 years without being able to dig down and get into the marrow of it, right?
Mm-hmm. And his response to that was, well, it's very competitive online. I said, well, where isn't it competitive? Like, is it not competitive in a newspaper? Of course it is.
Of course.
So the answer for marketers and companies, what they need to understand is if you pull in leads this month, those people do not often buy immediately. They do not often buy when you're ready to sell. But they buy when they're ready, but you have to stay in front of them. So those that are the best at follow-up, I always say this to companies, quote first and follow up the longest.
Really?
If you're in it the longest, you'll say the right things, or eventually just by default, just by hanging out the longest, you'll be able to convert that person. But the problem is human resources won't do that. You have to have an automated system in the back end that's constantly running, that's reminding those people, hey, it's time to make a decision.
And that's what you're referring to when you say follow-up. Because I know if I go to, if just one time, if I search one thing on Amazon, whatever, wooden coat hangers, and I walk away, go do the rest of my day, the next day I will get a reminder, by the way, you looked at these. Whereas there's a certain website I go in the States that sells men's clothing. They're great. I'll look at something, I'll never hear from them again.
Well, that's remarketing, and that's not quite the same thing that I'm talking. I'm talking about we've got an email address.
Okay.
So for that person, we can stop marketing because we already have their contact data.
Excellent.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so the system that follows up the longest with that contact data is the one that's going to win.
Okay.
Because eventually they'll make a decision because, remember, it's something they were looking for.
Yep.
It's something they need. And they're motivated by self-interest. And their self-interest means, do you have the best product at the best price? Do you sound the most trustworthy?
Right.
And sometimes they don't always make that decision right away. So it's good to have a CRM there that's following up with them automatically, even though you don't have the human resources to do so. Making the most of your advertising budget. Lots to talk about over the course of the next hour. Reminder, we're here for 2 more weeks and then we're off. So if you're going to call Paul, get things happening, do it now. 416-444-PROS is the number. Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com. It is the Business Pros Radio Show right here, Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Business Pros Radio Show. We got 2 more shows, so we're taking a bit of a summer hiatus, so you'll want to call Paul and his team. Do it now, 416-444-PROS. That is 7767. Email as well, Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com. We are talking about making the most of your advertising budget. Question for you, what portion then should be spent on digital ads of that budget? So if a company's spending, like we said, 7 to 8% of revenue average on advertising, I think it should be more like 12 to 15, but whatever. Let's say it's 10% just to split hairs, to round it off. What portion of that should be digital? Yes. That's an interesting question. That depends on the company. Like there are companies where, depending on what they do, the online audience might not be as sophisticated as a radio audience. So you're saying if it's a business that's, say, in the digital world already, as opposed to a mom and pop shop selling shortbread cookies. Yes, totally something like that. Right. If you have a storefront, there's not necessarily good value in advertising online. Cool. But the presence online is more than just a website. Okay. It's your local business listing, which is, I think, the often most neglected yet most powerful thing for a company, especially if you're a local business. Does your business listing actually show up when somebody's in your area on Google Maps? And where is it placed? And so all of that is, you should spend some time and some money optimizing that, especially if you have local business. But the portion to spend on digital ads, to me, you should be spending the money on capturing leads. So most service companies need to have a conversation before, like a landscaping company. We need to have a conversation. How often do we come? How big is the property? What do we need to fix? What do we need to, how much grass is there to cut? That kind of thing. So if you need to have a conversation, you need contact data. So that should be first and foremost. And if you don't have an online capture system to either track the incoming calls or track the web form fills, then that should be the first place you spend money. The amount that is depends on the size of your business, of course, and which business that you're in. So, for example, and people often ask me this. I think it's an interesting question. They say, well, why do you do a radio show when you're such a good digital marketer? Why don't you just stick with digital? Right. And my response to that is, it's very interesting. The leads that we get for our business online tend to be somebody within a company rather than the company leaders. So the calls that we get, they say, oh, I heard you on the radio. those businesses tend to be much more senior people, like the guy that owns the business.
Really?
Yeah. Interesting, right?
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So business owners are spending time educating themselves, and they really enjoy our show. I get
And
lots
they listen to it and they learn.
They listen to it, they learn things, and it often helps them make better decisions on where they should spend their marketing dollars, which is exactly what we're talking about. And those are the types of businesses, well, I don't want to, and it's interesting because they don't want to talk to my staff. They want to talk to me.
Of course they do.
They want to talk to me. You know, when we first started this show, we used to give people the phone number for the company, but I never gave them my personal email address. And I actually had one person call and say, I don't want to talk to anybody. Tell me what Paul's email address is.
I want
I just want to go right to him. I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
So the answer to the question, what portion should be spent on digital ads, depends on where your highest level, high priority targeted market is. If it's online, that's great. But oftentimes it's not. But getting them online and getting them to take those actions is probably the result. So you should be spending a minimum of 50%.
Of the 10%.
Of the 10%.
Really? So at least half of it on digital.
I would. I do. I spend more than that, but that's... Yeah, so I think, you know, just a website itself, which really isn't a marketing plan, right? A website's not a marketing plan. A website's a piece of an overall marketing plan. How does traffic find its way there? Do you buy that traffic? Do you get some free traffic? Then there's the whole lead capture system. If it's just a website with information, how do I take action, right? So you have to have good lead capture pages. And then after that, how do you qualify the leads? And then you have to have a CRM in the background, right? So there's all of these elements that make a marketing system, and a website is just a piece of that. So if all you're doing is spending money on a website, it's probably not money well spent. In my experience.
I would love to see the numbers of, and it'd probably be shocking, the number of businesses that get going, build a website, and leave it at that.
Yeah.
They figure that's what they're going to do.
Actually,
we're on the web. We're good.
Most.
Probably scary.
It's most, yeah.
We'll take a short break. You need to get a hold of Paul. You should. We've got 2 more shows, 2 more weeks, and then we're taking a break until September, a little summer holiday action. So in the meantime, the number 416-444-PROS, that is 7767. And direct email as well. Go right to the top, paul@trainingbusinesspros.com. It's the Business Pros Radio Show right here, Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Business Pros Radio Show continues. To get a hold of Paul, we are taking a short break after a couple weeks for September, so get a hold of Paul now, 416-444-PROS, 7767. That is his team number as well. And the email is paul@trainingbusinesspros.com. We are talking this hour, making the most of your advertising budget, which you should have. Don't neglect it. As far as promotions are concerned, what types work?
Well, of course, we're using most of the money that companies give us to do online marketing. Right. So we're talking specifically digital marketing. There are other promotions that work with newsprint or radio or things like that. There is some crossover, but specifically speaking digital, what we see, the best promotions are the ones that are trackable. Okay. You know, that's not the answer that people are, tell me exactly how to spend my advertising dollars. Well, that is an important piece, because if you're not tracking the proper key performance indicators and metrics, then you don't really know what the best promotion is. You can't optimize something that you don't know how to optimize. Mm-hmm. So number one, you know, don't just run a promotion, run a trackable promotion. For example, we did a 7-day launch recently for a raw dog food company.
Yeah, right.
They had never sold, well, I'm not going to tell you the number, but I was shooting for $100,000 in sales, and we did 180 in one day.
Wow.
Yeah, $180,000 in sales in one day.
They must have been
just based on 7 emails, no new audience. Think about that. Like, we wrung $180,000 worth of business out of contacts they already had. We didn't even spend money on
traffic. They were lying there.
They were
just sitting there.
Yeah, it's like uncovering diamonds in the backyard.
Yeah, right.
But it's not what you sell, it's how you sell it that matters.
Good call.
You wouldn't believe what people would do for a free dog bowl. It's insane.
I've seen what people will do for a T-shirt at a concert. Trust me.
Right. So number one, everything's trackable. Number two, giveaways. People love giveaways. Give me something, anything for free. I'll take it.
Where's the threshold for giveaways? Like, right off the top, as soon as you have contact, you exchange an email, or like how long down the line do you introduce that?
Sometimes giveaways is the way to get the email.
Okay.
Right? Even if it's a coupon, right? Give me 10% off. I can use it anytime.
Right.
I'll take an email address.
Throw me your
that.
email.
Right.
Nice.
But it could be even information, depending on the type of service that you're providing. It could be information in the form of video. It could be comparisons. It could be white papers, charts. It could be even a quiz, right? So lots of promotions work. If you're in retail, I definitely think some type of deal is the best, right? But don't forget, in that promotion where you're offering a deal, you got to put a limit on it. If people think it's available forever, then it's not really a deal.
They got to be hungry for it.
So you got to put a limitation on it, time and quantity, basically. When we did the dog food bowl promotion, we said we only had 200.
Okay.
That's all we had.
Now, once you do that, whether it's, we'll use that company for an example. So you do that promotion, 200 dog bowls, you got all that business out of it. How often does that cycle occur? Do it again in a month?
What I want you to do, though, before we even do that, guess how much the dog bowl cost us?
A couple bucks.
It was somewhere between $5 and $6, but we wrung $180,000 worth of business out of a $5 dog bowl. Like, seriously, it's crazy what people will do just for a little incentive.
Yeah.
Right?
Like they could get that at the dollar store. But because it's a promotion and a giveaway, they're hungry for it.
And there was a deadline, right? You have 24 hours to do it. The doors open at 12. We actually crashed the website.
I'd love to get into the psychology of that.
Which became an opportunity because we just sent people an email and say, hey, if you got your dog bowl already, that's great. We lost the website for a couple hours this morning due to all the traffic. Yeah. So we're going to keep the promotion open for another 24 hours, which brought in another 50 or 60 grand, because you can always turn these things into wins. But if you're not tracking that, what do you know? Yeah. You don't know anything. So it's very important to pay attention when those things are going on. The best promotions I find are ones that are unexpected, timely. They're tied to an event like Mother's Day or Christmas or whatever. I love 7-day launch sequences. If you're launching a new product, I love those. Those are great. Those work really well. If you're a local business and you're servicing them for dental or eye care or anything like that, buy one, get one free is always the best one. If you can do some kind of buy one, get one free promotion and put a limit on it, it'll work really well.
Do you find better success generally with a tangible item like a dog bowl or a possibly online cyber item like a discount coupon?
Well, with dog food, you can't really do buy one, get one free. It's a lot of product and it doesn't really make financial sense. Yeah. So that's not the right product for that. So a dog bowl is perfect. Mm-hmm. And it didn't seem to matter what it was as long as it had some value for the client who were going to purchase their food anyway at some point.
They just like to get stuff.
Yeah, people just love to get stuff. Anything for free.
So you would never do as a digital marketer and helping these companies, you would never do a coupon for a dog bowl. You would just give away the dog bowl.
Yeah, just give away the dog bowl. Right. Yeah, the coupon, typically a coupon will be a reduction in price.
Right. And some people will forget about it and not use it. The dog bowl they get.
Well, actually, the funny part is that we do this for Russell Oliver Jewelry.
Oh, yeah?
It was actually not that easy to convince them that this was a good idea because it's a store. You go there, you buy a handbag, it's $25,000, and you buy your handbag, right? It's used. Yeah. But a new Hermes handbag is like $75,000. So, and they're perfect condition,
right?
Because if you buy a $75,000 handbag, you probably only ever use it once.
Yeah, it's not in the trunk. Yeah.
It's not. You don't take it to the beach.
No.
So they're in perfect condition. We get the most. Actually, the majority of sales that we make on a monthly basis come from the mailing list. So anyone that hits the website gets a first time 10% off.
Nice.
And they can use it at any time as long as it's their first time purchase. And often people do not use that for months.
Really?
Yep. Just the right promotion comes along and they can add their 10% to the already existing special on Cyber Monday or whatever. And then they bite. Nice. Yeah. So the majority of our online sales now come from the list. And we're building that list at more than 1,000 leads a month.
Wow. Lots more to go here. You want to get a hold of Paul? Very simple, 416-444-7767. That's 444-PROS and Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com. It's the Business Pros Radio Show. Returns after a short break. Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Pros Radio Show. We are here for a couple more weeks. A reminder, then taking a summer break. So make haste. Get a hold of Paul. Do so. 416-444-7767. The email is paul@trainingbusinesspros.com. Continue our discussion this hour. The best ways to exercise your advertising budget. So we talked about some digital. We talked about traditional off the top. Can they work together, though?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I believe they can, but there's some things to be aware of.
Okay.
If you're doing traditional advertising and you're driving that traffic online, because lots of people advertise their websites, right? They say, go to my website and take the action from there. The problem with that is that unless the business is willing to change the homepage, because typically people will type in just the domain name and the .com, or they'll just do a search and they'll end up on the homepage.
Right.
If that homepage doesn't share or enlighten them about the promotion that they heard about, they lose interest very quickly.
Or they get there and they go, "Where is it?"
Yeah, where's my promotion?
That's awful.
So that the people who build or make changes to the website must make sure that any promotions must be homepage driven. So the second thing is that what we find is that even if you're driving them to the website, make it easier for them to call you. So take action on the promotion via calling. So especially if it's a service, because sometimes people just want to talk to somebody, right? So if you're running a promotion for, like I say, LASIK eye surgery, then that's a conversation. You're going to need to talk to somebody, right? Yep. So are you a good candidate? What's my approximate cost? What's my recovery time? All the things you don't really know. I don't know if you've ever had eye surgery before, but I have. I did. Actually had surgery by the head of this organization himself. So they did a good job, but I've learned a lot about it since I've been doing research for another company.
Yeah, I had it too. What do you say, go to the website? If you direct them to their website and that promotion's got to be in the form of a big banner right across the top? It has to be obvious?
Banner or pop-up.
Okay.
Or just, prime real estate.
It's got to be right in your
view. It's got to be right in your face.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you make them look for it, they lose interest very quickly. They just get annoyed and frustrated. And
where is it? I'm gone.
Yeah, especially on mobile, right? Let's say
totally.
Let's say you're on a bus and you're listening to the radio or something, and you hear this promotion. It says go to our website. You go to the website and
it ain't there.
And you're like, what are you talking about? There's no promotion here.
I'm out.
So yes, they can work together. I would say traditional to phone to some type of digital follow-up would be the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that even translate when we say traditional ads? If I'm driving along the Gardner and I see a big billboard for a dog food company, should there be something there directing me to my digital space? And again, once you're on that digital space, it should be in my face, ready to take action. Same way.
Yeah, it's interesting. Funny you should mention that. I noticed a billboard coming down here today that I'd never seen before. It was a very simple billboard. It just said not available in Canada. And in very small print underneath that, which I couldn't read, literally I had to slow the car down and I'm
trying not to get
bothering the people, trying not to get hit. I think it was not good, advertising from that perspective, but it did catch my attention, right? Just says not available in Canada, and in really small print at the bottom it goes, to know what's not available, visit what'snotavalableincanaدا.com. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I haven't gone there yet.
No.
But I do remember it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know what's not available in Canada.
So that would be a good tease to get to a digital space for digital ad.
Well, obviously there's no phone number, so that's where they're sending us.
Go there.
So if I go there, I'm going there not even knowing what the promotion is, or even if there is one. Yeah. I don't even know what they're talking about yet.
You don't know the company.
I don't know the company. I don't know the product. I don't know anything.
You're going in blind, man.
The first thing that came to mind was cannabis, but that can't be right because that's not available in the U.S. It's only available in Canada.
Tariffs,
right?
maybe?
It has obviously something to do with maybe drugs or I don't know.
Yeah, pain relief or something. Who knows?
There's probably a lot of people listening to the shows they're going to the website.
They're doing it right now.
What's not available in Canada? I don't know.
Exactly.
So from that perspective, it was great advertising, but if I go, I should go there. I'm going to go there on the break.
That's right. We'll take a short break, get to more of this. I want to remind you that after this show and next, we're taking a break until September, so you should get a hold of Paul as soon as you can. It would be a smart move, 416-444-PROS. That is 7767. Direct email as well, paul@trainingbusinesspros.com. It's the Business Pros Radio Show. Return short break. Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Business Pros Radio Show, the number to contact Paul, taking a break for the summer till September, so make that call now, 416-444-PROS, and paul@trainingbusinesspros.com. When we took that break, you referred to a billboard you had seen on the Gardiner, and it left a website. Didn't say anything, it just left a website in tiny print for you to then go to the website and then research exactly what the hell this product or service is all about. How was your little adventure moments ago?
Well, a couple things. So let's because people may be just joining us.
Yeah.
So I came across this billboard on the way here because we were talking about combining traditional
And digital.
advertising and digital. So that's what they did.
Right.
It was a billboard that sent you to a website.
Yeah.
The billboard said, what's not available in Canada. That's all it said. And then it said to find out, go to what's not available in Canada.com,
Yeah.
which we thought. So the first thing we did, because we don't know if we remembered the URL or not, we
Right.
just typed it into the search engine and it didn't show up.
Okay.
So now we have
that's a red flag.
now we have to persist, right? So we didn't get the URL right. It should have shown up in search. Why didn't it? All that kind of stuff, right? So eventually, after what? How much time did we spend? Minute and a half? 2 minutes? That's a long time for somebody to like.
Well, reminder,
Find out
you're on
what
the Gardiner
this
in a
is.
car.
And then we got to the website, which didn't load very fast. We finally found it. It was an ad.
Yeah.
We finally found it. The website didn't load very fast, and you and I were completely confused as to
What
what
was
it
it?
even was.
Yeah.
So they got and the point that I want to make that they did really well is they built curiosity. Curiosity is the number one marketing strategy that I always insist upon with my clients. If you can make somebody curious and give them some incentive to act on that curiosity, you'll always win. And companies typically don't know how to do that very well. So that's one of the things they need us for. In this case, that company did it greatly. That was great, right? I don't know what it is. I just want to know what it is.
Right.
So we go, and guess what? They don't tell us what it is.
Nope.
So it's a little bit frustrating from that perspective. So can traditional marketing feed digital? And the answer is yes, but it has to be done a little bit more tactile.
Has to be a little more fluid as well, right?
Yeah, you can't frustrate us.
Yeah. Especially on the road.
You can't. Yeah,
You can't
well,
do it.
If somebody grabs their cell phone at a intersection, number one, that's against the law.
Yeah.
Number two, this is a very long URL to not only remember but type into a phone correctly.
Yeah. And you're a digital guy, and I don't think you got it right off the hop.
Well, I didn't. We
Right.
took, like I said, it took us a whole minute and a half just to find it.
Right.
So, and I, maybe this, I hope this company's listening because, quite frankly, I think things need to change.
Yeah.
I think you need a shorter URL. Like personally, I would say Canada.don'tknow.
Something that's easy to remember.
You
right?
can do a dot anything these days,
Yeah.
right? So you can't get don't know Canada.
Not in Canada.com or whatever.
Don't know Canada.ca or
Yeah.
something like that. Like
Yeah.
something a little more memorable
Yeah.
because we couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And then at least optimize the site so that it shows up in a search engine when I type in what's not available in Canada.
Right.
Anyway.
Speaking of that, what gets the greatest return on investment?
Oh my goodness. Persistence.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I love. Did you ever see the what was the name of the movie with the McDonald's guy?
Yeah. The one about Ray Kroc.
Ray Kroc.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Somebody's calling in right now saying, "Hey, this is the name of the
idiots,
show."
yeah.
Anyway, he said that. He's like, nothing in the world has as much value in sales or in anything as persistence.
Mm-hmm.
Persistence, especially in digital marketing. So a couple things happen. We always impress upon our clients that we're not going to get it. We get wins immediately sometimes, but most of the time it's going to take us a few
Slow and
months.
steady.
Slow and steady wins the race. Yeah, because there's two things that are going on. One, humans are learning from the metrics that are fed to us, and number two, machines are learning. So a combination of those two things really makes us smarter, and that allows us to get better traffic, lower the cost per click, lower the cost per lead, raise the quality score of the person that actually signs up. So those are things that happen over time.
It takes
so
time,
the greatest return on investment are promotions that are trackable, as many metrics as possible. Obviously, some experience setting that up is helpful. And I would say most of the sales will be made long-term, not short-term. Like I said before, you get 100 leads this month. You don't have to sell all 100 this month to make your money. Right. You can sell 20 this month and 20 next month and 10 the next and 5 the next for the next year.
Is that a realistic conversion? Is that what you aim for?
That's, yeah.
So
that's
20%?
Very realistic. On sales, yes.
Okay.
On sales, yes. On leads, we're looking for 1 in 5, 1 in 6. So if it costs us $5 a click, we can get a lead for $25, $30, and then we can convert 1 in 3, something like that.
Those are good numbers.
Yeah, well, but the company has to be good at what they do.
Right.
If they don't have a good service or a good product, then... And I always say this, a gifted product or a gifted service is mightier than a gifted pen. So as much as we want to market something well, there are barriers that prevent people from buying.
Barriers due to the product or service itself?
Yeah, and maybe the price.
Yeah.
If it's a premium product and they're used to only spending so much with another brand, that may be a barrier.
Do you have that influence?
Like right now, we're working with a natural deodorant company, and natural deodorant is way more expensive.
It's like $7.99 a stick.
Well, actually, this is more like $12.
Hello.
So it's a lot more expensive. So convincing a new person that this is a good purchase, it's not an easy thing to do. We have to incentivize that, and we haven't. We're still in the early stages, but we'll figure it out.
That probably would not be the case where you get the free dog bowl.
Yeah, you're not
getting a free stick.
You're not getting a free stick of deodorant because of the cost.
Yes.
Right. But it is a good buy one get one free promotion.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying. We're going to try that soon.
Right.
We're doing what the company is sort of asking us, that this is our threshold of risk kind of thing.
Yeah. With a company like that, I would imagine they have more natural products than just a stick of deodorant, and maybe they could offer something on the maybe cheaper side.
Not really. I mean, they have some other things, but it's like soap. It's not really one of those things that is really popular.
Free soap.
Well,
it's a weekend.
That's what I always say. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And if not, 3 months, we'll part as friends. We did our best. We probably made some money. It's never a huge loss. We've got a mailing list that we created, and you can sell those people over the next year or so. But, most of the clients that we do this for, I've been in it for the long term.
Yeah.
So.
We'll figure out the rest of the show in a few minutes as we take a break. Again, to call Paul anytime, 416-444-PROS. Email is paul@trainingbusinesspros.com. Business Pros Radio Show, Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Business Pros Radio Show taking a break until September, so call Paul now. It'd be a good time to get in there, 416-444-7767, paul@trainingbusinesspros.com. We've been talking this entire hour, Paul, about making the most of your advertising budget as far as local ad budget, types of promotions that work, traditional, working with traditional and digital together. So should our company advertise ourselves, or would you need an agency like Paul's?
Well, certainly for the short term, it's a good idea to get some expert opinions,
right?
Because you only know what you know. If you have an idea, something you've heard about, that you read a promotion, something you talked about, even things you formed an opinion about, none of that is experience. I never take advice from people who don't have what I want. So the reason why you go to an agency like mine is we've worked with a company just like yours.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, here's what worked. And that's a good starting point. And if you don't know what that is, then it's often a good idea to rely on an agency to at least get you started. One of the things that makes us a little bit different, actually quite a bit different than a lot of advertising agencies or online marketers, is that whatever we build belongs to the company. So all of the work, like a lot of times, even in AdWords, some people who manage your AdWords spend, which is now being rebranded as Google Ads, by the way. It's no longer going to be called AdWords.
Good, it's better. Google Ads is better.
So if you get a company to advertise for you on Google, a lot of times if you decide to suspend that, or you don't have access to the information that they created, you don't have access to the data that they created. Not so with us. Everything belongs to you. We run it on your AdWords account. You pay Google yourself. We build websites and digital marketing systems and CRMs and whatever, but it all belongs to the company. So eventually what we try to do with the training side of our business is we try to make somebody in your company smart enough to take it over when we're done.
Right. So you got to get someone running so they can do it when you walk out the door.
Right.
I had no idea that you couldn't gather that information.
That happened to us recently, actually.
Wow.
A company had a whole year of Google AdWords spend, and we have nothing to analyze because the company wouldn't give it to them.
I'm shocked. I thought that would be the first thing you want is
well, it's how they
backup.
protect their business.
Oh, okay.
So they're protecting their own proprietary or expertise. Personally, I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but they're basically saying you can't really go to anybody else because if you go to anybody else, you're going to be starting over.
Right.
Which is exactly the case.
Yeah.
Right. It's never good with digital marketing to start over. This happened to us recently, actually. A company came to us and they paid me to look at a website project that was in production for a year and a half. Okay. Seems like a really long time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Usually we're 1 to 2 months max on even the biggest projects.
A year and a half?
A year and a half. Yeah.
What are they doing?
Exactly. So they were about to launch this website and they paid me to take a look at the website to see if I had any feedback. And not only did I have feedback, I had a good 30 to 40 points that were critical. And I said, under no circumstances are you to launch this website without these 30 to 40 points taken care of. 100% of them. Is that, well, is there anything that we can postpone? I mean, no, do them all. You have to do them all.
Wow, no, 30 to 40 points.
You know, it's interesting. The company that did it, it's like they didn't even look at the Google Analytics of the website that's currently existing. It's like they didn't even look at it. Like, that's ridiculous. You have to leverage what's already working. You can't just start over just because you think you can build websites better. That's not the way it works. When they took the list to the web designers, the design company.
Your list of 40
my
points.
list,
Okay.
yeah, that they paid me for, so that's fair.
Yeah, that's okay.
Right? Take it back to your people and get them to fix these things. You know what they said for every point? They said, you didn't ask us to do that. So now it's basically the onus is on the client to ask for something
that they don't know about.
Should be obvious. You know what I mean? Like, obvious to me.
That's why I hired you.
Obvious to me is to minimum leverage already existing traffic.
Right.
And optimize it if possible, which is obviously the goal through user experience. But if you're just going to rewrite their website because you think this is the better play, that's ridiculous. You can't. And they didn't. So they had a lot of work to do when I gave them that list, and they were not happy about it. Trust me, I got some feedback from the client that they were not pleased because under the same budget, without spending any more money, I made them fix like all of these things.
Have you followed up with that company since?
Yeah, we've had conversations with them because, you know, they're still running the site. We run the marketing, right? Which is a little bit, it's a little bit disjointed from that point, but that's the contract that they signed. So.
And the client that owns the site that paid for all this, are they yielding good things from it? Thanks to your 40 points.
We're doing amazing.
Really?
Yeah, we're doing really well. Yeah, very happy.
Last couple minutes. What else you want to wrap up before we take a break till next week?
Well, I'd just like to say that I'm very open to conversations. I had one this morning with a new potential client who runs a very successful eye surgery clinic. I'm learning a lot more about it from a marketing perspective than I knew before. There's a lot of very competitive space. Oh my goodness, because you know the cost of this thing is like a couple $1,000s an eye.
Yep.
So in my conversation with him, it sometimes takes a bit for them to understand how much experience we actually do have. You know, and I don't say that to impress people. I say that to impress upon them. You really want to talk to the people with the most experience. And I've been doing this for such a long time. And I've spent literally millions of dollars of company money, of other companies' money, making them more money. I didn't start yesterday. Right. This is something that, one of the things that's often overlooked, and if this is the only thing you get from this show, then that's okay. I'm good with that. Try to remember this. People don't take action on anything unless there's an element of self-interest. So number one, when somebody wants something, they don't really care at how you do it. They don't really care about the details of and the intricacies of delivery on LASIK surgery. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't want to know that you're cutting out the freaking cornea of your eye or whatever you're doing.
I just want to see.
I just want to see. Yeah. And how do you stack up against the competition? Are you the best one to trust? And can I get some incentive to do that, right? So the concept of self-interest is probably the most important thing. In conjunction with that, I've learned a certain style of writing, which is really important, that communicates with that self-interest to get the person to take an action. To me, that's what all advertising does. It's like, let's get people to take an action and let's make everything trackable. Right. And that's why I love digital marketing, because even though we do other things with companies, we do traditional and print and all of these other things that we do, digital's the best result because everything is measurable. Yeah. And something that can be measured can be optimized. Things that can't be measured can't be optimized. You really don't know. I mean, I don't want to know how much we spend and how much we make. That's traditional. I want to know how much we spent and then how many thousands of key performance indicators are there in between that and the sale.
To get there, right? Right.
Because only that can be optimized. Where did the traffic come from? How long did it stay? Which landing page worked the best? Which ad created the best result? Was it the Google Display Network? Was it the Google Display Remarketing Network? Was it Facebook? What's getting us the lowest cost per lead and the highest amount of sales based on the quality of the traffic?
Right.
That's our job. And that's so complicated. I can't even begin to tell business owners how complicated that is. And if you go it alone, you're going to spend a lot of money trying to figure it out. And often we get people after they've done that, and then, they're very weary, right? Oh, I spent $10,000 a month on AdWords and we're not getting much business out of it all. And then they don't want to spend $10,000 even on an expert. Right. So I would say that's a conversation that you and I need to have. My email address is paul@trainingbusinesspros.com or 416-444-7767. I won't be back. We got next week, and then I won't be back for a couple months. It's summertime.
Yep.
Take a break. So if you want to start that conversation now in preparation for the busy fall season,
yes,
now's a good time. My team and I actually have the time right now to give to new clients, to walk them through the process. There's no obligation. We don't charge for proposals. We even have people take our full proposals and give them to other companies to get a lower cost.
Sure.
And they always undercut us, always, but they don't really know what they're getting into. So whatever.
That's it till next week. We'll do one more. Until then, like Paul said, 416-444-PROS is the number.